A wedding and a funeral. When Ghanshyam's friend, Prag, got married, all the family went to attend the wedding in the village of Nagipur. It was a grand wedding, attended by hundreds of family and friends. The day after the wedding, everyone sat down under the big canopy for the wedding feast. There were mountains of golden, deep-fried puris, buckets full of delicious jaggery, kilos of pure white ghee, and all kinds of hot, spicy vegetables. Two of the guests were having an argument over who could eat the most. Unmat Tarvadi turned to his friend, Lal Bihari.
"I bet I can eat more than you,"
he said. The Lal Bihari replied,
"I'll give you 51 rupees if you can eat that whole plate of puris, half a bucket of jaggery, and 2 pots of ghee."
Unmat accepted the bet and called for the big plate of puris to be brought over, along with the ghee and jaggery. He began to devour the puris, one by one, dipping them first in the ghee. After 2 or 3, he would pick out a big chunk of jaggery and crunch on it. Everyone stopped eating and stared. There must have been 100 puris. How could one man eat so many? But slowly the pile began to get smaller and smaller, and finally, picking up the last puri, Unmat wiped up the remaining ghee, picked up the last chunk of jaggery, and popped it all into his mouth. And then he called for a big dish of curd to wash it all down. Reluctantly, Lal Bihari paid him the 51 rupees. That evening, all the guests bedded down under the stars. Ghanshyam was laying near Unmat. He turned to him. "Uncle," he said, "you shouldn't eat so much. It's not good for your health. You know, you can die from eating so much." Unmat laughed.
"Well, my little lord, if I die, then you'll just have to bring me back to life again."
Then turning over, he closed his eyes and went to sleep. That night, all the food in Unmat's belly began to churn. He woke with a start, calling out in pain and unable to breathe. Many guests woke up and rushed to help him, but it was of no use. Unmat writhed and choked and gasped, and finally he breathed no more. After the joy of the wedding, now all the guests had the sorrow of a funeral. In the morning, they wrapped Unmat's body in white cloth and carried it to the funeral pyre, chanting and calling out to God. All the women were crying and wailing. Just as the funeral pyre was about to be lit, Ghanshyam remembered what Unmat had told him the night before. Raising his arms, he called to the people to stop. Then, stepping toward the body, he called on Unmat to get up. Everyone gasped as the body moved. Then, pulling the white cloth from his face, Unmat sat up and then got down from the pyre. Unmat came up to Ghanshyam and touched his feet.
"My little lord," he said, "why did you bring me back from the heavenly abode of Akshardham? It was so beautiful there, and everyone there was talking about you and singing your praises."
The crowd were astonished to hear Unmat's story. Then they realized that both life and death are in the hands of the Lord. And they all gathered round Ghanshyam and showered him with blessings.